to the famous show. Today we have 8 special guests. That's right, 8 special guests. We're going to create a panel for you, for your historical, educational enjoyment. Now our first guest is from Illinois. Give a round of applause. Just one. Abraham Lincoln! Our second guest comes to us from Illinois. Give a round of applause for Abraham Lincoln! And now, I would like to introduce our 16th President, Abraham Lincoln! All the way from the 19th century, Abraham Lincoln! Our 5th guest, you know him, you love him, Abraham Lincoln! Our 6th guest, from the penny, Abraham Lincoln! Our 7th guest, from the $5 bill, Abraham Lincoln! And our 8th guest, anybody know who that might be?
Yes, I do.
Who do you think it might be?
No.
Who do you think it might be? Abraham Lincoln, who do you think it might be?
George Washington.
George Washington, who do you think it might be?
Abraham Lincoln.
Who do you think it might be?
Barack Obama.
Who do you think it might be?
Abraham Lincoln.
Those are all great guesses. Let's see who our 8th guest is.
Ollie. Who's that? It's no one. It's Abraham Lincoln. Ollie. Come on, Ollie. Get out. Come on, Ollie. Who is he? Come on, Ollie.
Our 8th guest is none other than John Wilkes Booth. Now we have 7 Abraham Lincolns and 1 John Wilkes Booth. And we're going to find out a little bit about our special guests. So, Lincoln number 1. My question for you is this. When, and I'm looking for an exact date here, and where, and I'm looking for a town and state, were you born? And what were your parents' names?
I was born on February 12th, 1809 in Hodgenville, Kentucky. And my mom's name was Nancy. And my dad's name was Thomas.
What were your parents like?
My dad was pretty mean to me. And my mom was nice, but she died when I was 9.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lincoln. I'm so sorry to hear that your mother died when you were 9, but we're glad that you survived and became such a good president. Now, Lincoln number 2. I have a question for you. What was your childhood like?
Well, I only had 1 year of schooling in total, so I didn't go to school very often. I only went to school whenever I could finish my chores, but one time when I went to school, I always got there early, and the teacher, he had shot a deer, and he had hung the antlers over on the wall. So I decided that would be a fun place to swing on, and I swung on it, and they broke.
Wow, so it sounds like you were an adventurous child.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Lincoln number 2. Lincoln number 3, I have a question for you. This is the question that's on all of our minds. What kind of a teenager were you?
Well, when I was 19, I was already 6'4".
Wow!
And my stepmother, Sally, she used to tease me about how tall I was. And she used to say, Abe, you better wash your head or you'll get dirt on my nice clean ceiling. So that gave me an idea to take pigs and make them squish their feet in mud. And then one by one, I brought them to my log cabin and made them walk on the ceiling. And when Sally got home, she started laughing. And then I agreed to clean it up.
That's a really funny story, Mr. Lincoln number 4. I have a question for you. Now, once you left home and now before you became a lawyer, what kinds of jobs and adventures did you have?
Well, I one time beat up this guy named Jack Armstrong, who was the leader of the gang, the Clary's Grove Boys. He thought I was too popular, so he challenged me to a fight. And when he found he couldn't get me in a bear hug, he stepped on my foot. I picked him up and threw him on the ground.
And I heard a rumor that you kept papers in your hat. Is that true? Wow, it's true.
Why are there papers?
It's true what they say. We'll take questions and comments from the audience at the end. Like we always do. Lincoln number 5, I have a question for you. Now, I know you were a lawyer, right? Could you tell us some interesting stories about your time as a lawyer?
Well, once I was driving a buggy down this lane. It was a narrow lane, and a buggy, if you don't know, is driven by a horse. It's not a car because there's no cars then. And so I was driving, and there was another buggy coming down the same way. Like I was going that way. We wanted to get past each other, and so, but one of us would have to go in the mud, and that means the horse's clothes would get really muddy. That would be bad. So I told him, move over. And then he said, no, you move over. And that went on for a while. And then finally, since I was very, very tall, and in the buggy I was even taller, I started standing up really, really slowly. And then I said, if you don't move over, I'll tell you what I'll do. And then he said, fine, I'll move over. Just don't get any taller. And then he moved to the mud, and I was riding off. And he said, wait, what would you have done? And then I said, I would have moved over myself.
It's a funny story. Now, Lincoln number 6. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. I have a question. How did you meet and eventually marry your wife?
Okay. Well, when I was a lawyer, I had an office in Springfield, Illinois, and I went there often, and it was a lot of fun because I went to a lot of parties, and one party I was at, Mary Todd was there. I asked her if she would dance with me in the worst horrible way because I was a terrible dancer, and then later, like when we were engaged, she said I did. Like, I stepped on her toes and all that kind of crazy stuff. It's probably worse than you've ever thought that someone could dance.
Oh, wow.
And
I don't know. I'm pretty bad myself.
okay. And then we were going to marry on New Year's Day, but I called off the marriage on the day, but before they set it up, so I wasn't happy. And then I didn't see her for a year or go to any parties for a year. Then I got back with her and did that.
Oh, wow. And her name was Mary Todd?
Yes, Mary Todd. I married Mary Todd.
Aww. Now, Lincoln number 7, I'm curious, how did you exactly get involved in politics?
Well, when I was in New Salem, I wanted to do something about slavery. So I ran for state legislator, and some of the things, well, since I didn't want to start to slavery right away, so here's my platform was
was to improve the Sangamon River, lower interest rates on bank loans, and to make better schools. But I lost the first time, but then I won the second time. And then I served for 4 terms, and each term was 2 years, and so I served in that for 8 years. And then I decided to become a congressman, and I won, but my wife really hated it there, and she took the kids back, so I was sort of depressed, and so after my first term, I just quit and became a lawyer. But then, when I heard that, I continued law, but then I heard that Stephen Douglas was debating that in the new colonies in the West, they should be able to decide for themselves to choose slavery. But I really didn't want that. And I thought people would listen to me better if I was a senator. And so I ran against him, but lost.
I'm sorry.
But then in 1859, the Whig Party back then, that's what they called Republicans. And so I was Whig. And they asked me if they wanted to represent me for represent them for president. And I said, sure. And so the election was in 1860, and I won, and then I got inaugurated in 1861. And then I became president.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Sorry, but we have two guests that have to leave. Good job.
Wait, let's just hear what John has to say.
Oh, well, I was wondering, what, if anyone here has something you want to say to John Wilkes Booth, and I'll take a couple of hands. Yes, who is this person? Who's John Wilkes
That's
Booth?
John Wilkes Booth, the guy who killed me.
And this is your assassin.
Yes, he is. And he died 11 days after me, so.
When were you assassinated?
I was assassinated towards Tito, and it was very funny. It was a comedy. I was watching Our American Cousin, and my guard left to watch the show, and he didn't lock the door, but he left it closed, and John Wilkes Booth over here had opened the door, and with I don't know what kind of gun it was. He shot me over the left ear and then jumped down, screaming Sexember Tyrannus. That means this is what happens to tyrants. That's cool rulers, even though I wasn't one. To him, he thought I was. And because he was a Southerner, but actually he said that, he actually made things worse for the South because I wouldn't have punished the South, but the people who came after me punished the South, and Miss Riley has a question.
I'm actually going to say, you're talking to him right now, so you don't even need to say he. You can say you.
You.
Yes.
And this would be if I could be alive and you would be alive, then I would say, why didn't you kill me?
Why did I kill you?
Yeah.
This is what you want to know.
Yeah.
Well, it was a Derringer was the kind of gun. It's a little small gun like this. It fits in your pocket. Back in the times, it was what we all carried around. And I killed you because you tore my Union asunder. Do you know what asunder means? It means you tore it apart. You drove a nail right through the heart of the north and the south of the country that I loved.
Well, I didn't know you had so hard feelings for your country, and
Maybe if you had feelings like that, you would have been a better president.
actually, to most of the feelings for this president.
Well, I want to give Mr. Booth a chance just to sing his feelings.
Curse my soul, if you must. Let my body turn to dust. Let it mingle with the ashes of the country. Let them curse me to hell leave it to history to tell. What I did well, and I did it for my country. Let them cry, dirty traitor, they will understand it later. The country is not what it was. Goodbye, Abraham.
Nice song.
Any other questions?
I give you compliments for the song.
Thank you.
Okay, so we gave Mr. Booth and Mr. Lincoln a chance to express their feelings on the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. I want to come back to one more question, which was, you mentioned that, in your opinion, you're the favorite president of many people.
Yes.
I just want to have you give a thumbs up if you have one reason why you think you might be a favorite president, and if someone shares the idea that you were thinking, you can put your thumb down. But we'll get a couple of reasons why you think so many people love Abraham Lincoln. I mean, you're on, I don't know if you realize this, but you're on money now. We have a holiday celebrating you. Lincoln number 6, why do you think that people love Abraham Lincoln so much?
Well, it's because I was the one who started to stop slavery. If it wasn't for me, we would stop slavery a lot of, later, and we were actually, there was only 3 countries that didn't have slavery, and that still had slavery. That was the U.S., Brazil, and Russia still had slavery, and we were a little late in stopping it, and no one would have made a stand to stop it if it wasn't for me, and I brought the Union back together, because the South fought against the North.
That is really impressive. If you still have another reason that Lincoln number 6 did not share, you can share that. Lincoln number 5, is it? Another reason.
Well, I brought, well, I was pretty funny, and everyone, I wasn't mean to anyone. Like, once, a soldier, I was in the War Department, and a soldier was carrying a toilet paper, and he smashed into me. And he said, 10,000 pardons. And then I said, 1 is enough. I wished all my soldiers could charge like that. And then, so I was really soft on the people. Like, I saved a lot of soldiers from getting shot because they, like, ran away when they ran away from the battle. But
It's nice to have a president with a sense of humor. I'll agree with that. Lincoln number 3.
Well, I was a very honest president, and I was made the honest guy. My nickname was Honest A's.
Excellent. Lincoln number 2.
Well, it's because in the Declaration of Independence, we said that all men are created equal, and if Negroes are created equal, they're men too. So, what's the whole point of the Declaration of Independence?
Okay, I like that. So, we'll let the people decide. I think you're an excellent president. Mr. Booth disagrees.
I'm sociable.
So who was your favorite president?
I'm a big fan of George W. Bush, personal hero of mine, and also Richard Nixon as a special place.
Okay. Well then. I guess we have some differences.
We can come back to this discussion. You guys
It's
can,
my favorite.
have this conversation after the show. I think we'll take some questions and comments. If you could all say at the same time, I'm ready for questions and comments on 3, 1, 2, 3.
I'm ready for questions and comments.
Why don't we go down the line?
After you became vice Well, I mean, they moved to Washington with me, but and there's actually a couple of funny stories about when we lived in Washington. My kids, since my father treated me horribly when I was a kid, I didn't want my children to have a bad life, so I let them do whatever they want. So one day they took a chair and they made it into a cart, and then they tied two goats to it, 5 goats, and they rode it around the house. And one time they can, like, I let them do whatever they want, like they did whatever they want, like they interrupted me in meetings, they did whatever they want. Yes.
Okay. Boy in the green shirt.
Carter.
2 things. Why do you have no paper in your hat?
Well, when I was postmaster, I developed a habit because I worked odd jobs because I worked in a second general store. The guy who I was partners with, William Berry, he left me with $1,000 in debt, so I worked really hard to pay that off. Well, debt is like tax, like bank loans.
I don't know, that's good. Okay. That's first.
Joey, when your dad got like mean at you or did something you didn't like, how did you react?
Well, I wasn't like, I couldn't like be mean to him or else then I'd be like in real deep trouble. But I had to like go with the flow, but go with the flow.
How did you, when you got the kids, did you hold them upside down and put it on your head, and then as you started moving around and then the kids were starting to walk around?
Yeah, so I picked up the kid because I was really tall and strong, and I held them like that, and they would walk, and instead of like head prints on the ceiling, or footprints on the ceiling. So,
Grace's sister.
Carol.
Oh, Carol.
How old were you when you died, and how old was your dad when he died?
Right. I died?
Yeah.
I was 56. When I died, I was young because this man over here assassinated me. I could have lived for much longer. Even though I did have a disease called Marfan's disease, and it's when you're tall and skinny. Tall and taller can eventually kill you.
Yeah, because
Taller and taller a lot. Or I was just like 6 feet, really tall. These kids, they tried to knock off my hat and steal the papers. And there was a rope across 2 trees. So like that. And they misjudged my height and hit me right in the face. So no one really knew how tall I was. Jack, you can. Oh wait, no, that's not Jack. Oh, it's Olivia. Sorry.
Olivia, you can call somebody. I'm sorry, Mr. Lincoln.
Well, I mean, I moved out when I was like a young boy, 19, and so like I wasn't really in contact with my dad, so I couldn't really I didn't call him every day and say, how you doing? And so when I knew he was dying, I felt sorry and I got upset, but I was getting used to it because I had 4 sons and basically all of them died besides one of them. So
Can I add on to that? That actually then when you had a phone call that your dad died, you didn't actually. It was a mail that went by horse, and you didn't really respond to it. You're like, oh, my dad died, whatever. Because her dad was so mean. His dad was so My dad was so mean to me that I didn't even want to go to school. You know. Yeah.
I have a question for you and a comment. So, the question is, have you learned anything about President Lincoln?
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot. I learned about his childhood. We had very similar childhoods, except mine was in Virginia, not Illinois.
A slave.
State. It was in my day.
Yeah.
And my comment is, I think I read a book about Lincoln, and the end was about you, and it said that when you jumped off the balcony after you assassinated him, and you broke your leg, and you ran to a doctor, and the doctor fixed your leg because he didn't know what happened, and then both of you got put in jail.
No, he was killed.
Oh, the doctor got put in jail.
That must have hurt.
Why?
Why did the doctor?
There was a girl named Grace Bedell, and I was riding on a train that took 11 days to get to Illinois to Washington. I just won for president, and I got a note from Grace Bedell before I was elected president, which I would look much better with a beard. So for that day on, I had a beard, as you can see. Now I'm 201 years old. I still have a beard.
Mm-hmm.
And
that looks good.
does. She was right.
Yeah.
Good old Grace.
Lincoln number one?
I think before we came, we wanted to say the Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, we get it to the dress.
Sure.
Everyone, hats off.
I don't have
Hats up. Oh, you really? You have tomato blocks. Wait,
you share with them.
no, I got the Emancipation Proclamation. You can share. Let it go. Sorry. A lot of important papers in that hat.
Would one of the Lincolns like to introduce what this is that you're about to say? Lincoln number one, what is this?
The Emancipation Proclamation. I said the Emancipation Proclamation while I was president, and it stated that the Gettysburg Address. Sorry. So the Gettysburg Address. I got news that we won a major battle, and so I went to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and I saw all the rows of ripstone, but it wasn't like an exciting time when we won because lots and lots of soldiers were killed, and so I said a 3-minute speech that I thought like no one would remember, but it turned out to be one of the most famous speeches, and it's called the Gettysburg Address, and I said it on November 19th, 1860.
Oh, you guys, I forgot mine. So, can I show you?
Sure.
Okay, we all share.
And we can share.
Can we stand up?
Stand up.
Yes, please.
Wait, if anyone wants the Emancipation Proclamation.
Lincoln number five, please.
You can raffle it.
You can raffle
Yeah,
it.
you can raffle.
Okay, you.
1, 2, 3.
407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and dedicated can long endure. We are met on the great battlefield of that war. We are meant to dedicate a portion of it as the final resting place of those who have given their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who have struggled here, have consecrated it far above our power to add or detract. The world will very little note nor long remember what we say here, but they will never forget what they did here. It is for us, living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work that they have thus far so nobly carried on. It is rather for us to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take the last devotion that we here highly resolve that these dead